Well, the Tigers are the first team in baseball to hit 40 wins on the 2025 season, thanks to a great start from Jack Flaherty, an all-time performance from Kerry Carpenter, and the return of Superman.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. You could take 50% off of the Tigers score on Monday night, and it would still be considered a blowout, I think. That is a 13-1 beatdown of the Chicago White Sox in Chicago. I don't even really know. I've said this on the show before, and it's funny how time changes things, right? Like I can remember saying, sometimes very early on, like I took over hosting this show halfway through the 2021 season. And I remember saying, sometimes everything goes wrong and there's not even much to analyze because literally everything went wrong. And it's like, okay, well, we're not going to be that bad again. You lost by 15 or whatever. And then the flip side is also true. Everything can just go so right that it's hard to even have analysis because it's like, okay, we're not going to win 13-1 every game the rest of the season. But it was awesome. And I feel like back when I first started, it was a lot of, the Tigers getting blown out. And now this season, especially, they're blowing teams out left and right. That is 40-21 on the season. They are a win on Tuesday away from being 20 games over 500 in the beginning of June. That is just absolutely wild. My first thought after this game was just how fun that was to watch. I know I said earlier in the year, there was a game where I'd come on here and said, well, that one's going to be tough to beat in terms of just like all around, like fun and entertaining and kind of like best overall performance of the year. And, sure enough, less than a month later, here we are. Kerry Carpenter, 3 home run game, great pitching. Parker Meadows is back and producing immediately. Dylan Smith makes his major league debut. They also got off to an early lead. So this was never stressful at any point. 3-run first inning, 2-run second inning. It's 5-0 going into bottom 2. This was literally zero stress at all. Just pure fun watching the Detroit Tigers wallop their opponent. What went right? Hilarious question. Everything. So we're going to get to the offense because a lot went right offensively. We're going to get to Jack Flaherty and Dylan Smith, right? Because that went right too. But I actually want to start with the defense. The defense in this game will be completely overlooked. And honestly, it probably should be. Again, Kerry Carpenter hit 3 homers. The defense probably should be overlooked. It's not a bad thing. But it was fan-freaking-tastic in this baseball game. You had the Parker Meadows diving play. That's a runner on third with 2 outs early in the ball game, by the way. This was not completely out of reach yet. Fantastic play in his second inning back from the injured list. You have the Riley Green play in left field where he literally disappears off camera and you don't really know what happened. And then he just walks away with the ball and the inning's over. Javi made a fantastic play at shortstop, back at short. Also, made a nice turn, helped turn a double play at second base. We'll talk about Javi's impact later in the game. And then to top it all off, you have the crazy tip drill play where the ball bounces out of Dylan Dingler's glove and is caught by Zach McKinstry. I don't even think he knew he caught it. I don't know. It was wild. The broadcast did a great job of kind of talking about how rare that event was, which was super cool. It was, bringing up that it had happened with the first baseman before, but they couldn't find it happening with the third baseman. All around, though, like the defense in this game, even aside from like the funky 1 in a million play, it was so spectacular in this baseball game. And I really want to make sure that while glossed over, it is still mentioned and acknowledged because I was really impressed with it in this one. Let's talk pitching. Only 1 run against, which is obviously fantastic. Jack Flaherty goes 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. His ERA on the season is now back down to 3.72. He's still got it. He's still got it. And he's still working through some stuff. I thought it was really interesting hearing in the post game on FanDuel Sports Network, hearing him field questions from, reporters and writers and whatnot. He didn't feel like he performed very well. 6 innings of 1 run ball, didn't feel like he was super sharp. One of the things that was super noticeable on the mound was that his slider, he just didn't have his slider in this ball game. Now, the fastball, velo was weird. You saw a couple up to 93, 94. You also saw him sit 91 for a couple of innings there. Maybe that was just while he was kind of tweaking some stuff and working through some of it. But this was mostly as far as effective pitches go, this was mostly a fastball and knuckle curve type of ball game for him because the slider, like I said, was really ineffective. And when he's at his best, he has all 3 of those pitches working. They really, I know some people look at maybe the curveball and the slider and they're like, oh, those are kind of similar. Like, no, there's enough of a velocity discrepancy and just a shape difference where those are 3 completely different, as Scott Harris said earlier in the year, brackets of pitches. And so I think that is when he's at his best. We're still waiting to see him at his best, and he has a 3.72 ERA. I take that as a positive more so than a negative. And so we'll see how he continues to, adjust throughout the season. And then Dylan Smith debut made me so happy. 2 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs, 1 walk, no strikeouts. You saw the stuff, and it was really good. Now, the command was absolutely all over the place. I'm sure he had some nerves. I'm sure he was overthrowing a little bit, to try to, what's the Bull Durham, with authority. I'm sure that there was a little bit of that just being in his debut and wanting to show off the stuff a little bit. But awesome to see his family there. Awesome to see their reaction to his first inning and his first outing. But again, from a baseball perspective, you see why the organization likes him. That is, not only is it good stuff, but he is a guy who has been a starter his whole life and so has a starter's repertoire. He has a fastball, he has a splitter, he has 2 different breaking balls if he really wants to. That's a full starter's arsenal, but it's coming out of the bullpen, kind of similar to Tyler Holton. The only difference is then Dylan Smith can also add a couple of miles velocity-wise from what he was consistently putting up when he was a starter, because he's like, I'm just going to empty the tank. I'm going to throw as hard as I can. I'm a reliever now. So you have the starter's arsenal mixed with the reliever velocity. That fastball was touching 96, even pushing 97 at one point. I know I'm a broken record with this of all people. I've been talking about Dylan Smith on this show for years now. I absolutely adore the player, but I'm just so excited for him to finally stay healthy enough and find a role where he can stay healthy enough to produce at a high enough level to get an opportunity at the major league level, and I hope that he is able to continue to flourish in that. We did not see him at all over the weekend, and it was really cool to give him that kind of low leverage opportunity to get those butterflies out, and then hopefully he can just be a lockdown part of this really solid bullpen this year. Brebbia also pitched in this game, one perfect inning and a strikeout. Don't have too much to say about it, just other than like it's good to see him have a nice inning because he hasn't had too many lately. And so to give him that low leverage opportunity, just be like, hey man, this team is not very good. We're up 12. Just go out there, take us home, and maybe knock some of the rust off, and we can get him back into the form that everybody wanted him to be in as well. So awesome stuff from the pitching staff. Let's talk about the offense that put up 13 runs. Okay. I've made you wait long enough. We'll talk about all of that right after this. First, though, got to talk to y'all about our friends over at supplyhouse.com. Get the supplies you need from the site that is made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources, and their latest product info is there to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you're looking for from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, well, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service as well, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros that are looking for an extra edge out there, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. So join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, you can use promo code SH5 for 5% off of your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. And we will, of course, be back tomorrow recapping Game 2 and what is hopefully another win for your Detroit Tigers. Talking about this Game 1 victory of this 4-game set against the White Sox in Chicago, a 13-1 dismantling of the Southsiders. Kerry Carpenter is obviously the headliner here. I love Parker Meadows so much that I didn't think that it was possible for him to come back and have as good of a game as he did, and for someone else to still overshadow him in terms of like biggest storyline from the game. And Kerry Carpenter found a way to do that. A historic night for him, a 3-home run performance. I think the thing that I enjoyed the most about this was the fact that he was back down in the middle of the lineup. Okay. And I've gotten to the point where I just trust AJ fully. Okay. I've talked about what Carpenter gives you at the top of the lineup here over the last several weeks, months, whatever. But we all know that this guy drives in runs and hits the ball long, far, and hard. And for him to be able to be back in a position where you have the table setters ahead of him. You have Parker Meadows, fast, gets on base. You have Gleyber Torres, the epitome of gets on base so far this season. And then you can throw Carpenter out there and drive those runners in. And obviously he did it in a miraculous way in this ball game, but it's really cool to see him go back to being a middle of the lineup hitter after being a leadoff hitter. And I don't know if that's like a direct correlation per se. I think he just got hittable pitches and does what Kerry Carpenter does. But like we haven't seen as much power since he's been in the leadoff spot. His slugging percentage was low. I know Motor City Metrics, who is fantastic and I praise all the time. I love those guys. Talked about how his slugging percentage was the lowest it had been in a specific month so far in his major league career. He turns around and we all have a good laugh because he hits 3 home runs in a game. Just absolutely awesome. 5 RBIs. You knew again that low power production wasn't going to last forever. He is just too good. It's really as simple as that in my eyes. Parker Meadows is back, though. Superman has returned. 2 for 4. This is his final stat line with like non-box score stats thrown in there. Okay, this was his game in 9 innings. First game back, he has not played for the Detroit Tigers since early spring training. Okay, this was his game. 2 for 4 with a double and a triple, 3 runs scored, 2 walks, so he gets on base 4 times, a stolen base, a diving catch in center field with 2 outs and a man on third. If he doesn't make the catch, it allows a run. And he scores from second base on a single right to the right fielder that I think a lot of other people on this team would have at least made a play at the plate. If not, may have gotten thrown out. And he makes it just non-competitive, not even an offering. He's unbelievable and affects the game in so many different ways. And that is the point that we have been talking about on this show in regards to Parker Meadows for really his entire major league career, even going back to when he was in Toledo before he got the call up. This guy is dynamic, and he just affects the game in, I'm repeating myself literally, but in so many different ways. He could go 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts in the leadoff spot. And I would still play him dang near every night. And I think that the fact that he is proving to be a solid hitter with some pop, obviously the speed on the base paths is incredible. And if he even gets to first base, then he can just steal his way around. And the reason why they're comfortable with him at leadoff is because he draws walks at a really, really, really high clip. He's unbelievable. And I cannot hide my love for Parker Meadows. I truly cannot. A lot of great offense in this game outside of just those two, though. Gleyber Torres, Colt Keith, and Wenceel Perez, all with multiple hits on the night. Wenceel Perez, obviously, with a home run. You know, I posted this on social media, but like this Tigers team had the best record in baseball and added 2 players that are going to start ball games for them in Wenceel Perez and Parker Meadows. They added 2 guys that are good enough to start on this team that were already, that again, the team was already the best record in ball. That is awesome. You also had Dylan Dingler hit a ball about 900 feet. An absolute tank. That was a brutal pitch. Just a hanging slider up and in. Absolutely destroyed. I reposted it. TJ Stats, which is a great follow on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, posted the league leaders for catchers in F4, in Fangraphs WAR. And Dylan Dingler, at the time of this recording, has the second highest WAR amongst catchers in all of the American League. And I think he's 4th in all of baseball. The only person ahead of him in the American League is Cal Raleigh, who is literally putting up one of, so far, we're 2 months into the year, but like that's a pretty big enough sample size to say that he is on pace to have legitimately one of the best seasons by a catcher like in recent memory. The Athletic threw the word ever out there. Like that's legitimately, he's got like 4 wins already under his belt. So outside of him, Dingler's already had a 2-win season. We're 2 months in. And he's not even playing at literally every single day. The biggest thing in this ball game from a team perspective was the offensive approach as a whole. They knew that the White Sox, like Cannon has decent stuff. I think that's fair to say, but he really gets himself into trouble a lot. And the Tigers knew that and went, you know what? We're either going to swing first pitch if it's over the heart of the plate, or we're going to take a ton of pitches. And that was the game plan, and it worked exceptionally. It kind of goes without saying, 13 runs. Then you get 5 innings of work from Wilson, and they're able to tag him for 8 earned runs as well. Just so good such an aggressively patient approach, which I think is exactly the kind of what every team is trying to encapsulate. I think that's something that I hope they do today, as you're listening to this as well. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we preview game 2 here. What went wrong? I don't know. I would have to be like, what? Let's think. Chase Mydroff had a good game. I guess, he couldn't get him out. He was solid. I like him a lot too, man. Like this White Sox team has some pieces more than last year. They're not going to lose 120 again. Like they're not the worst team in baseball anymore, but they're still really not great. And I I hope that Mydroth is the guy that they can maybe kind of build the infield around, because he's had a really solid start to his major league career. He had a good game. One of the only White Sox that can say that in this one. Okay, how about they did go have a 1-2-3 inning with a position player on the mound. We'll do that. They scored 13 runs, so like I don't care. I want to make that abundantly clear. But like for the sake of putting something in the category of what went wrong, because I think it's kind of impossible in this game. We'll say that. We'll say the fact that they couldn't get a base runner, like the fact that the only White Sox pitcher that didn't give up a run in this ball game was a position player. We'll have that for technically speaking, I guess, what went wrong. Let's talk stuff. It's a lot of stuff in this ball game. We'll do that right after this. Got to talk to y'all about our friends over at Monarch Money. Have you ever checked your bank account and wondered where the heck did all of my money go? Well, between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO gives you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app either. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. You stop managing your money and you start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery and stuff like that it really didn't need to. And now I budget a lot smarter and save a lot more. Instead of juggling multiple apps to manage my finances, I can use Monarch to check my finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. That's 50% off at monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB for half off of your first year. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate you all for tuning in as always. So want to talk about Javi a little bit here in our stuff category. I think that now with Parker back, we are really going to see the full scope of the value that Javi can still provide if he cannot be the worst hitter in baseball, right? He played shortstop in this game, was phenomenal, made a couple of incredible plays, then slid over and played second base so that Trey Sweeney could come in. Looked really solid at second base. Obviously, in his very, very early years with the Cubs, was playing second base as well. This is now a guy that you are comfortable putting in the outfield, at shortstop, at second base, and at third base. You can just completely make him super utility, play the matchups, only play him when you want to. If you really do, I mean, I think there's a conversation surrounding like whether Trey Sweeney is on this roster, when everybody's fully healthy. But for the time being, Trey Sweeney is and should be on this roster, and you can use Javi however you'd like. I'm hoping that it's a lot more at shortstop, because you have Colt Keith and Gleyber Torres can, man second base. Obviously, Glaber's going to play pretty much every day, or literally every day, and man second. But you can have Keith play there. You can have Keith play first base. You can have Keith DH. Obviously, Torkelson first base and DH. You have the revolving door of pretty much everybody that can play third base. Javi, Andy Ibanez, Zach McKinstry, etc. And with having now Carpenter, Wenceel Perez, right? Like Parker Meadows obviously back and is just going to man center field every day, as he should. He's one of the best defensive center fielders in the sport. All of this leads to more depth which means harder to give everyone at bats, maybe. But AJ can truly play the matchups as much as he likes. And the more control you give AJ in that regard, the better it is for the Detroit Tigers, because that is his specialty when it comes to like his ability as a manager. Awesome stuff. Parker Meadows officially returns. We haven't actually said that on the show yet. I'm just so happy. Parker Meadows' return and Dylan Smith debut in the same day. We could have lost 13-1. It would have been an all right day by me. So good to see. Justin Henry Malloy gets sent down to AAA to make room for Parker Meadows. A couple of thoughts with that. One, I don't disagree with the decision at all. But I think that there's a couple of things to point out there. One is that now, and AJ mentioned this, I'm getting this straight from the source, like now he can get more consistent at bats. He still has adjustments that need to be made to make him a solidified everyday major league hitter. And the defense, AJ also mentioned, was much improved from what they saw last season, but they want to see him be that, solid right-handed hitter that can walk and has some pop at the major league level. And there's still adjustments that he needs to make that happen. And now he can get 4 or 5 plate appearances a night down in Toledo to make those adjustments, similar to the Jace Young conversation. But it wasn't without a lot of good moments. He had 2 of the biggest hits of the season, you could argue, up to this point. Just such a good guy. And you mentioned that. And Parker Meadows returns from injury, and Justin Henry Malloy's posting on social media about how happy he is that Parker Meadows is back, and he's the one that had to get sent down to make room for him. Just such an awesome dude. The lineup going forward, dare I say, is not bad. Okay, and obviously the Tigers offense has been great this year. It's been far better than I expected and than most people expected. But this lineup with Parker Meadows back, you have Meadows, Torres, Carpenter, as we saw tonight, Riley Green. Okay, that's a solid top 4. Spencer Torkelson didn't even play on Monday. You have him in the lineup. Dylan Dingler, who I just mentioned is hitting dang near 300 and has been one of the better catchers in baseball. Colt Heath has turned it around. Zach McKinstry has a 765 OPS, and Javi Baez has a 738 OPS with a 271 average. That's not a bad lineup. It's not bad. It's not Murderer's Row plus Cano, but it's not bad. I'm really excited. Wenceel Perez, did I even mention him? Been fantastic since coming back. I mentioned the homer earlier. Awesome day. So Tuesday, game 2 of this 4-game set. It'll be TBD for the Tigers and Shane Smith for the White Sox. This appears to be the game that Sawyer Gipson-Long could return for. Got a pair of TBD games here in the middle of this series, so we will see. That would be awesome. This is already vibes are so immaculate. If we get a Sawyer Gipson-Long start on Tuesday on top of that, I'm just going to be through the roof. Hopefully we can see his stuff dance like it did pre-injury. And the coaching staff said in the bullpen session he threw for the coaching staff that he looked fantastic. So here's to hoping that we get Sawyer Gipson-Long here in the next 2 days. Shane Smith, a guy that's good. He has good stuff. He has his ERA starts with the number 2 this year. He's been one of the bright spots for a White Sox team that doesn't have very many. The one thing with Shane Smith this year is he will get in his own way, and the Tigers are not afraid to let a pitcher just pitch themselves out of it. He just had 5 walks in his last outing. Didn't give up very many runs, but only went 3 2/3 or 3 1/3. 3 1/3, 3-1-3 shout out. Because he had so many walks. The game before that had a few walks as well. So something to watch out for there. If his command is kind of all over the place early, that is something the Tigers can take advantage of and will have no issue taking advantage of. What else? It's pretty much it from the game. Again, everything went right. Speaking of things that didn't go right, here we go. Here's our what went wrong for the day. 15-year anniversary, June 2nd is. So yesterday, as you listen to this, 15-year anniversary of the Armando Galarraga imperfect game. There you go. That can be our honorary what went wrong for Monday's show. Want to end the show by saying I appreciate baseball's efforts, I guess, marketing, etc. Just their openness with the support for Lou Gehrig and ALS and whatnot. Just really cool to see. They got the number 4 patch on. They're doing a lot of cool stuff with the Yankees. Yeah, just really, really cool and something that I'm glad they're shining, more of a light on. So let's go win game 2. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We, of course, will be back tomorrow recapping game 2 and previewing game 3, talking about anything else surrounding the Tigers organization. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. And I'll catch y'all tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers.